Hi, I'm Bree McAdam, court reporter with the Saskatoon Star-Phoenix, and this is the Docket, where I talk about the court cases that I've covered during the week. This week, we're going to do a bit of a special edition where I combine last week with this week. Last week got a bit busy, got away from me, and I wasn't able to do a video, but there were a lot of court cases that I think are worth talking about that happened last week. So this is a case with some pretty wild details involving a man who took police on a 2.5-hour chase through city streets and rural highways before eventually lighting himself on fire. Last Tuesday, 37-year-old Terence Morin was sentenced to a jail term of 2 years less a day on a bunch of charges, including dangerous driving, evading police, and arson. Court heard Morin was in the midst of a 7-day meth binge and hadn't slept in days when police noticed him driving a stolen GMC Envoy last May. When they tried to pull him over, he sped away. The police plane tracked him as he drove up to 100 kilometers an hour on the wrong side of streets on Saskatoon's west side before he left the city heading towards Langham on Highway 16. That's when he started stopping along the highway and lighting objects from the SUV on fire. Now, this all came to a halt when Morin got stuck in a muddy field and decided to douse the SUV and himself in the gas that was remaining in his jerry can and then light it all on fire. RCMP had a fire extinguisher and actually were able to spray Morin down and saved him from any serious injuries. The Crown wanted a 5 or 6 year sentence, saying that it's a miracle that no one was hurt or killed in this incident. The defense said that Morin is committed to a drug-free life and asked for a sentence of 18 months to 24 months. In the end, Judge Brent Klaus said Morin's prior criminal record, which included previous convictions for impaired driving and driving while disqualified, shows a lack of rehabilitation. And he said the sentence needs to denounce drug use that results in, quote, senseless behavior in a public place. Also last week, a 23-year-old woman charged with human trafficking in Saskatchewan was released on $3,000 bail. Dilshad Alizada was arrested in Saskatoon and accused of trafficking 3 women in the sex trade, 2 women from Quebec and 1 from the Moose Jaw area. As part of her release conditions, Alizada must give up her passport. She cannot be involved in the sex trade or the escort business, and she has to continue living in Saskatoon. 3 men charged with manslaughter and criminal negligence in connection with fentanyl-laced cocaine overdoses in Saskatoon last year will stand trial at Court of Queen's Bench. It's after the Crown filed a direct indictment last week against Jatmanjot Gruwal, Shervindas Bihari, and Azam Kabani. That means their case will proceed directly to trial without having a preliminary hearing, which is usually held to determine if a case should be committed to trial. Last March, 7 people overdosed in one weekend after ingesting cocaine laced with fentanyl. 4 of those overdoses were fatal. Gruwal and Bihari are accused of selling the drugs after police found cocaine mixed with fentanyl in a home on Polachenko Lane. Their drug trial is in the midst of charter applications right now and was adjourned last week while the defense continues to review new disclosure. Last Friday, we had a late-breaking sentencing in Court of Queen's Bench for a man named David Deegan, who was given 4 years in prison for dangerous driving causing the deaths of Larry Gavel and Brian Emish. Deegan was driving his truck down the wrong side of Highway 2 in 2016 when he collided head-on with a medical transport bus that was on its way to Saskatoon from Watrous. Court heard Deegan had been working long hours in the trades, partying, and barely sleeping. Lawyers referred to it as a, quote, work hard, play hard lifestyle that led to driver fatigue. And in fact, the 32-year-old says he doesn't even remember the crash. Now, 72-year-old Clarence Gunter was also on the bus and he survived. In court, he described having to essentially start over because of his serious injuries, calling himself a walking miracle. Deegan did address the court. He apologized to the victim, saying that he often wishes he were dead. When he is released from prison, he will be banned from driving for 5 years. And finally, this week, the big story was an arrest in a Saskatchewan cold case homicide. After his estranged wife, Sheree Fertuck, disappeared in 2015, Gregory Mitchell Fertuck was charged on Monday with first-degree murder in connection with her death. He is also charged with offering an indignity to her body, even though her body has not yet been found. Fertuck made his first appearance in Saskatoon Provincial Court yesterday, where the Crown opposed his release and ordered that he have no contact with 3 family members who are potential witnesses in this case. None of Sheree's family members appeared to be in court during the brief appearance. As always, you can read more about these stories at thestarphoenix.com, and for tweets from the courtroom, you can follow me on Twitter at BreezyBreeMC.